Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm taking you into the world of three interesting Lincoln cents that many collectors still search for in hopes of finding hidden value. These coins may look simple, but each one carries history, special varieties, and the potential to be worth far more than just 1 cent. Let's start with the 1977 Lincoln cent. The 1 cent coin from 1977 represents one of the later-era Lincoln Memorial pennies struck during a time when the United States Mint was continuing its tradition of producing copper-based cents, at a moment just before dramatic changes in metal composition would reshape the future of American coinage. The 1977 1 cent coin is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909, marking the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it carries forward the design work of Victor David Brenner on the obverse and Frank Gasparo on the reverse. When a collector examines a 1977 penny, they're looking at more than just a small copper coin. They're looking at the closing chapters of an era where the cent still carried a full bronze alloy and remained a stable piece of everyday commerce. The 1977 Lincoln cent, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, reflects a time before rising copper prices forced the mint to transition to a copper-plated zinc composition starting in 1982. Because of its bronze composition, a 1977 penny carries a deeper, richer copper color when mint state or uncirculated, and over time gains a natural patina that can vary from dark brown to a lighter reddish tone, depending on the environment in which it has been stored. The obverse of the 1977 1 cent coin features the enduring profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with the word Liberty positioned to the left side of the portrait. The date 1977 appears to the right of Lincoln's chest, slightly below the truncation of his bust. Above the portrait, the familiar motto "I in God we trust" arcs across the top of the coin, maintaining the design tradition first established with Brenner's original 1909 layout. The portrait used on the cent since 1909 is considered one of the most iconic and longest-running portraits in American numismatic history. Even though it has remained unchanged for many decades, the design has subtle variations depending on die wear, striking pressure, adjustments made by the mint for die polishing, and the natural progress of minting technology from the early 20th century through the 1970s. On sharp, well-struck examples of the 1977 penny, collectors may observe crisp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, as well as clean lines around the lettering. On worn examples, the high points of the design, especially Lincoln's jawline, hair, and cheek, begin to smooth out, gradually losing their definition as the coin circulated across many hands over years of use. The reverse design, created by Frank Gasparo and introduced on the cent starting in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, features the detailed image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., depending on the strike quality. Collectors may even see the tiny figure of the seated statue of Lincoln positioned inside the memorial, though this detail is often only visible on well-struck or higher-grade coins. Across the top of the reverse, the inscription "United States of America" appears in bold lettering, while just below it the national motto "E Pluribus Unum" is centered above the roof of the memorial. At the bottom of the reverse, the denomination 1 cent is clearly marked, completing the design that served on millions of circulating cents from 1959 until it was replaced in 2008. On the 1977 cent, this reverse design can appear with varying degrees of sharpness based on factors like die state, strike pressure, and the quality of the planchets used. Circulated coins often show flattening of the memorial steps and columns, while uncirculated examples often reveal fine architectural lines that collectors seek out. The 1977 1 cent coin was minted in large quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with Philadelphia striking the majority of the coins. Philadelphia coins carry no mint marking this year, continuing the tradition that lasted until 1980, when mint marks for the Philadelphia Mint began appearing on coloration, depending on the amount of oxidation and aging. The color distinction plays an important role in the value of uncirculated 1977 cents. A coin graded mint state 65 red, MS65 RD, can command significantly more interest than the same coin in brown or red-brown condition. Grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified thousands of examples, but the highest grade, flawless specimens with deep red luster remain relatively scarce and can reach higher collector prices. Occasionally, Era varieties from a 1977 cent attract a unique subset of collectors. These can include off-center strikes, where the design is shifted to one side, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed. Such coins can range from minor misalignments to dramatic off-center errors, with more extreme examples being more valuable. Other possible errors include clipped planchets, die cracks, die breaks, lamination flaws. The mint operated continuously, generating steady flows of coins like the 1977 penny to meet public needs. This is why, even today, the 1977 cent remains common and widely encountered in circulation, though the uncirculated high-grade survivors are relatively fewer when considering the billions originally produced. Although millions of collectors hold the 1977 penny as part of Lincoln cent collections, for many people the coin also has sentimental value, representing a piece of the past or a reminder of childhood savings jars, coin folders, or old family collections. The Lincoln cent has long held a special place in American culture as the first U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of symbolic representations like liberty. As part of this series, the 1977 cent carries forward the legacy of honoring Abraham Lincoln, one of the most influential presidents in American history. The memorial depicted on the reverse further reinforces this symbolism, creating a design that connects the nation's history, its content. The 1977 penny is also sometimes kept by metal enthusiasts. Prior to 1982, bronze cents contained enough copper that their melt value approached or even exceeded face value during periods of increased copper prices. Although it is illegal to melt U.S. cents for their metal value today, many people still hoard copper-era pennies, sorting them from modern zinc cents. The 1977 penny is one such coin that often remains preserved by people who appreciate its higher copper weight. In summary, the 1977 1-cent coin represents the rich copper composition that collectors value for its appearance, historical significance, and physical feel. Whether found in circulation, preserved in a collection, or kept for its copper content, the 1977 penny holds a place in American numismatic history as a widely produced, widely collected, and meaningful artifact from the late 20th century. Its design, composition, and story reflect the traditions of U.S. coinage and the daily life of millions of Americans who carried and used this coin across decades, making the 1977 cent not just a small piece of metal, but a quiet witness to history, commerce, and American heritage. The 1-cent coin minted in 1983 at the Denver Mint represents one of the most historically important and mechanically significant pieces in the entire Lincoln cent series, because by this year the United States Mint had fully transitioned to a new metal composition that changed the physical character, weight, and long-term behavior of the penny. The 1983 D. Lincoln cent embodies the early years of the copper-plated zinc era, a period of experimentation, adjustment, and refinement after the mint moved away from the traditional 95% copper composition that had defined the penny for more than 7 decades. Understanding the 1983 D penny requires understanding what happened just before it. In 1982, copper prices rose to levels that made it too expensive for the mint to continue producing heavy copper coins, and as a result the mint introduced a new, cheaper core made of zinc with a thin copper plating. This shift drastically reduced the cost of production, but also created new challenges in striking, durability, and quality control, some of which are visible today in surviving 1983 D cents. The 1983 D penny weighs approximately 2.5 grams, noticeably lighter than the earlier bronze pennies, which weighed 3.11 grams. This reduction in weight is immediately felt by collectors handling examples from different periods. The new zinc core changed how the coin feels, sounds, and even wears over time. Zinc is softer and more reactive than copper, causing many 1983 D cents to develop surface bubbling, plating blisters, and weak spots if the copper plating did not perfectly bond during production. Because 1983 was only the second full year of this new composition, the production quality varied across different dies and planchet batches, creating a wide range of appearances among surviving coins today. Some 1983 D cents are beautifully struck with smooth copper surfaces, the word Liberty positioned to Lincoln's left and the date 1983 positioned to his right. Just below the date appears a small letter D, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "I in God We Trust," a standard feature on the cent since the series began. On sharp mint state examples of 1983 D penny, fine details in Lincoln's beard, hair, and coat are visible, though due to the zinc core and sometimes inconsistent strike pressure, many examples show weaker detail than earlier copper cents. Because zinc planchets behave differently under striking pressure, some 1983 D cents show mushier details or slightly uneven surfaces, especially around the high points of Lincoln's bust. Well-preserved examples, however, can still exhibit attractive luster, often with a bright, slightly pinkish copper tone caused by the thin outer layer of copper. The reverse of the 1983 D penny features the long-standing Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Asparo and used from 1959 through 2008. The Lincoln Memorial, with its rows of columns and the tiny seated statue of Lincoln visible inside the central opening, appears centered on the reverse. At the top is the inscription United States of America, and below it the motto E pluribus unum. At the bottom of the coin is the denomination 1 cent in bold lettering. Because of the new zinc core introduced in 1982, the striking quality on the reverse of 1983 D pennies can show noticeable variation. The steps of the memorial, the lines of the columns, and the details within the central chamber are often somewhat softer on 1983 D cents compared to earlier copper coins. Some examples show slight distortions or flow lines that reflect the mint's learning curve in adjusting pressure and die preparation for the new metal composition. However, high-quality uncirculated examples do exist and show strong architecture lines and sharp lettering across the design. One of the most significant aspects of the 1983 D penny lies in its error and variety potential, because the early zinc years produced numerous striking and planchet issues. The most famous error associated with 1983 pennies, though it applies mostly to 1983 Philadelphia coins, not Denver, is a 1983 double die reverse, which shows strong doubling in the lettering E pluribus unum in United States of America. However, the 1983 D does not have a major recognized double die issue that rivals the Philadelphia variety, but minor machine doubling, die deterioration doubling, and other minor anomalies are often found. Denver-struck 1983 cents also show a higher likelihood of plating issues, plating blisters, which appear as treasure hunters and roll searchers. The 1983 D Lincoln cent also plays a role in the broader economic story of the early 1980s. This period saw major shifts in commodity markets, inflation concerns, and challenges related to manufacturing costs. The Mint's decision to switch to zinc planchets in 1982 was driven by economics. Producing copper pennies had become too expensive because the rising price of copper meant the metal value of each penny approached or exceeded its face value. Although it is illegal to melt cents of their metal content, the Mint could not risk producing coins that cost more to manufacture than they were worth. The 1983 D penny is therefore a symbol of the nationwide adaptation to new economic realities. Its reduced weight and new construction represent cost-saving measures that help the Mint continue supplying billions of cents needed for circulation at a sustainable cost. This economic backdrop gives the 1983 D penny historical importance beyond its physical design. The Denver Mint produced a massive number of 1983 D pennies, well over 6 billion. This enormous reduction ensures that the coin remains common today in circulated condition, easily found in pocket change, coin jars, or bank rolls. While circulated examples hold low monetary value, they remain important to the story of American coinage because they represent the new zinc era's early years. Uncirculated examples, especially those with full red color and minimal marks, are more desirable. Full red examples. Pennies exhibit discoloration, pitting, or structural weakness. The 1983 D penny, being one of the earliest full zinc issues, often shows these problems more than later years as the Mint improved production quality. Collectors who store zinc pennies must take extra care to keep them in dry, stable environments to prevent deterioration. This long-term instability of zinc is one of the reasons why some collectors prefer the older copper pennies, which age more gracefully. In spite of these challenges, the 1983 D penny holds a secure place in the Lincoln Cent series and remains an essential date and mint mark coin for collectors building complete sets. Its enormous mintage makes it accessible to beginners, while its early zinc composition and related error potential make it interesting to experienced collectors as well. Roll hunters frequently search 1983, D-cents looking for off-center strikes in the United States, passing through countless hands, completing transactions in stores, vending machines, gas stations, and supermarkets. Every scratch, discoloration, or imperfection on a circulated 1983 D-penny reflects its long journey through years of use. Meanwhile, the pristine examples preserved in collections or mint-sealed sets allow collectors to appreciate what these coins look like when newly struck, before time and the environment left their marks. The one-set 1995 coin is one of the most widely recognized and commonly encountered Lincoln Memorial pennies in modern United States coinage, carrying forward more than 8 decades of design heritage that originated when the Lincoln Cent series was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. By the time the 1995 penny was produced, the Lincoln Cent had already become an essential part of American small-denomination monetary culture, not just as a circulating coin, but also as an object of interest for millions of collectors, hobbyists, and researchers who study the design, minting characteristics, varieties, metallurgical composition, and numismatic significance embedded in each year's issue. The 1995 penny belongs to the later period of the Memorial Reverse era, which lasted from 1959 to 2008, and it represents an important phase of the copper-plated zinc composition era that began in 1982 when the U.S. Mint transitioned away from solid bronze cents due to rising copper prices. Because of this, the 1995 penny reflects modern minting processes that utilize zinc cores with ultra-thin electroplated copper layers, a method that allowed the mint to maintain the traditional appearance of the coin without the costs associated with producing bronze planchets. This shift in composition is significant when studying any 1995 penny because collectors often consider the differences in weight, color stability, corrosion patterns, and strike sharpness that arise due to the zinc core, which behaves differently from earlier copper-rich cents. In 1995, the United States Mint struck pennies at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia produced a majority of circulation strikes and did not use a mint mark on circulating pennies at that time, while Denver cents carried the D mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins carrying the S mint mark intended specifically for collectors and included in annual proof sets. Each of these facilities used different die preparation procedures, and collectors who examine the coins carefully often notice variations in strike detail, the thickness of lettering, the definition of Lincoln's hair curls, the sharpness of the steps on the Lincoln Memorial, and the clarity of the designer's initials VB located on the truncation of Lincoln's bust. In circulation, the 1995 penny is extremely common and was produced in the billions, making it very easy to find in pocket change. However, that does not mean the coin lacks interest. Even common dates can develop special value when they appear in high grades, when they show particular errors or die varieties, or when they become important for type collectors assembling complete sets from 1959 onward. The most famous and significant variety associated with the 1995 cent is the 1995 double die obverse, also referred to as the 1995 DDO. This variety displays strong doubling visible on the lettering of the motto, "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and the date. The doubling is bold enough that it can be seen with the naked eye, making this variety extremely attractive and desirable among collectors because it offers a clear visual anomaly resulting from a misalignment in the die creation process during hubbing. Genuine double dies occur when the coin die receives 2 impressions from a hub at slightly different angles or positions, causing the raised design on the struck coin to show doubled elements. The 1995 double die cent is one of the most popular and accessible major varieties in modern U.S. coin collecting, partly because it is easier to identify than many earlier double dies, such as the 1955 or 1972, and partly because many examples entered circulation before collectors began to pull them aside. This means that even today, people occasionally find 1995 double die pennies and change, although the majority have already been removed and collected. High-grade examples of the 1995 DDO, particularly those graded MS 65 or above, are sought after and often sell for premium prices compared to regular 1995 cents. The standard 1995 penny without the double die is still important for collectors who build complete year sets, mint mark sets, or high-grade registry sets. For circulated examples, the value is typically 1 cent unless the coin is in exceptionally sharp uncirculated condition. Coins that remain bright red with full mint luster and minimal contact marks can grade MS 65, MS 66, or occasionally MS 67. But obtaining such high-grade examples directly from circulation is rare because zinc-based cents tend to accumulate scratches, small nicks, and unattractive surface spots very quickly. High-grade pieces are usually found in original mint sets or in stored rolls that have not been handled carelessly. The grading of 1995 pennies focuses heavily on luster consistency across the fields, the absence of dark carbon spots caused by zinc reaction beneath the thin copper layer, and the sharpness of the strike, which can vary depending on die wear. Denver minted examples tend to show slightly stronger strikes in some cases, whereas Philadelphia coins may show softer detail in the memorial steps or Lincoln's hair, but this is general observation, not a rule, and without pitting or discoloration. Proof coins from San Francisco display mirror-like fields with frosted devices, offering a striking contrast typically produced by specially prepared dies and planchets. Proof 1995 S pennies are extremely sharp in detail, and although they are common due to high production for proof sets, perfect cameo contrast and pristine surfaces make certain examples valuable in the highest grades. Market values for regular 1995 pennies remain modest, but high-grade examples certified by major grading companies can achieve prices depending on rarity within the grade. On the other hand, the 1995 double die obverse commands much higher value, especially in mint state red colors. Collectors categorize color designations for copper-plated cents as RD red, RB red-brown, and BN brown. A 1995 penny that still retains at least 95% original red luster is far more desirable and can sell for significantly more than a similar coin that is toned to brown. Because the plating on zinc cents is thin once oxidation or toning begins, the color often shifts unevenly, making bright red examples scarcer over time. This is one of the reasons why collectors place great emphasis on preserving modern cents properly, even though they were produced in massive quantities. Error collectors also examine 1995 pennies for other types of mint mistakes. Although major dramatic errors such as off-center strikes, their normal 1995 penny is doubling due to mechanical factors, but a true double die shows clear, rounded, separated doubling rather than flat, smeared doubling caused by worn dies. Overall, the 1 cent 1995 penny reflects a blend of immense mintage volume, common circulation presence, modern minting technology, and one of the most famous late 20th century double die varieties. It remains a coin that almost every collector has encountered, yet its deeper details, composition, errors, varieties, strike quality, preservation challenges, and historical position give it lasting numismatic appeal far beyond its face value pocket change or acquired in a pristine collector set. The 1995 penny continues to serve as an important part of the Lincoln cent story and a reminder that even the most ordinary-looking coins can carry layers of complexity, rarity, and history waiting to be discovered by those who study them closely.